Hi, I'm David Manderbach, and I wrote the book Fake History: The American Civil War, Slavery, and the Dissecting of the Popular Narrative. Yes, the American Civil War, also known as the War Between the States, the War of Northern Aggression, Mr. Lincoln's War, the War of Southern Rebellion, or the Second War for American Independence, depending on whom you'd speak with. The war is a volatile but damn interesting period of time, and it affects everyone and everything today. This story is about America and who we are. Politics today are often referring to matters of the American Civil War, and this book will help dissect everything that you need to know in order to take part in today's debate. Everything you think you know about the Civil War is probably wrong. It goes like this: the South wanted slaves, and the North did not. And the South fired on Fort Sumter to keep their slaves. North good, South bad. The North won, slaves were freed. Everybody's happy. The narrative, however, is understood by those living in our country today is complete fiction. It's a total lie. If you are on Facebook or Twitter and hold any conversation, especially in light of all the monuments being destroyed, graves being desecrated, plaques removed, history censored, you will run across the discussion of the American Civil War. And it usually goes along the lines of quick memes and comments like, the South lost, get over it, South was wrong, South was right, America had slaves, therefore America's not that great. Things like that. You can't continue to have that conversation effectively unless you know what you're talking about. This book will help you learn at least the basic facts and give you some insight, and you'll make some discoveries on what actually happened, and you'll be better for it and able to have these conversations. If you're going to talk about history, you're going to debate, and you're certainly going to criticize people and affect our national future, you should know what you're talking about. And you'll find that most people in the media, most politicians, don't know what they're talking about, and that means both sides don't know what they're talking about. A visit to the real facts of American history is better for us all.
This morning, the Confederate flag is no longer flying over Fort Sumter, South Carolina, where Southerners fired the first shots of the Civil War.
For the longest time, it was the American South responsible for slavery. The entire history of slavery, the institution, the founding of slavery was responsibility of the Southern people and the Southern cause. Recently, politics have been now moving that to America is responsible for slavery and created slavery, and everything about its Constitution is wrong due to slavery. To let the fake history narrative continue without any checking of fact is not only dangerous, it's stupid. And the push for anti-American rhetoric is based on a false narrative and fake history. This book will guide you through all of that. This is not a military book, although much of it is addressed. It is about looking at the events that led to the Civil War, how it could have been stopped, why it didn't get stopped, and all the political maneuverings before the war, during the war, and just after the last Confederate soldier surrendered. This book is about the history, not pushing a racial narrative. What was the war about? What started the war? How could a war that saw 800,000 people die have been avoided? What happened to the refugee slaves? And the war did not start over slavery.